Hi, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Anime Lounge Podcast. I'm your host, Matt, alongside with my other host, Lance. As always, we start off with an adult beverage of choice. Today, we're going to make it easy on everyone and drink some of that Willet Pot Still whiskey. It was delicious. I want to try it again.
Oh, yeah, it was definitely good. And round two, here we go. It's well worth it.
Yeah, it's going down smooth already. And then, as always, we have Spotted Cow. Can never get enough of it. Lance, do you want to give us that synopsis for what we're covering today?
Yep. Today we're going to be covering Jujutsu Kaisen Season 2, both cores 1 and 2. And I'm going to take the synopsis from Wikipedia. And just to make it simple, they said the hidden inventory / premature death acts as a prequel to Jujutsu Kaisen 0 and the first season, as it focuses on a teenage Satoru Gojo and Suguro Geto during their time as students in Jujutsu High in 2006, and how the two went from friends to enemies. And also the Shibuya arc, which takes place back in the present day of 2018, which is kind of funny because that's our past, but it's the present day, as the sorcerers and curses engage in an all-out war in Shibuya on Halloween night. And that's what they said. And
yeah, it's good enough. That's good enough for us.
Yeah, everyone knows what Jujutsu Kaisen is at this point if it's season 2.
Yeah, exactly. But I know you have an interesting word of the day. Do you want to let us know what that is?
Today's Lance's lessons is going to be the Japanese word for volcano. Volcano is Kazan. Kazan is spelled Kazan. And Kazan is relevant to today's episode because we have a cursed user, Jogo, who is basically a walking volcano, and he's a complete badass in this final arc at least. We've seen him in the past, but man, he's really shown some colors in this season.
Literally.
Yeah. And stick around to the end of this episode and join us for our usual Pokemon quiz that I like to share.
Hopefully I can do better than 33%.
We'll see. I'll just save it for later, but yeah, we'll get there.
All right, cool.
All right, and before we get into anime content, Matt likes to read the manga for every episode, so let's see if there's any differences between the manga and the anime in Matt's manga mentions. NANI?!
Yes, let's get into this. I absolutely love this manga. I was so excited to reread it. For any of our new listeners, I am current on the manga as it is now. But as far as season 2 is concerned, if you want to start from the beginning of what would be season 2, I suggest to start on chapter 65. And it concludes on chapter 137. So we're talking 72 chapters for this one.
That's quite a bit.
Yeah, how about just a little bit more than last season. So not too bad. 24 episodes. You're talking just over about 35 chapters a season. That's not too crazy.
No, I guess if you put it that way, yeah, you got to keep in mind that this was 24 episodes long, so quite a bit. Well, maybe not exactly 24, but, the typical full-length season kind of stuff.
Yeah, exactly. One thing that the manga does that is kind of significantly different is it actually starts with Meme and Yutahine, in the mansion. They're actually in the hallway. So, that basically the first 10 minutes of the first episode. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that doesn't happen in the manga. It doesn't happen in the manga. So they're inside that hallway. So they're doing the hallway reference in the beginning.
So they skip the whole entering the mansion or the building and then just exploring it in general?
Yeah.
Okay. I just added stuff.
Yeah, it'd be kind of boring, to be completely honest.
Yeah.
And then they're going through their side-scrolling event, and Gojo actually comes in and breaks up the barrier before they get in. So Gojo's the one that fucks it all up.
Oh, really? So running in opposite directions wasn't the thing that broke it?
No, it was Gojo.
Oh, interesting. Okay. Well, I liked what the anime did. It added a little bit of relevance to those characters, and then Gojo comes and just makes it all better.
Yeah, they kind of show him as his angst teenage self, you could put it. Mm-hmm. Then Geto and Gojo had their fight in the classroom, and that happens almost immediately following the mansion incident.
Okay.
Everything's just kind of on hyper speed, you can almost say, and significantly closer together. And then Gojo actually only gets stabbed in the neck by Toji. He doesn't do that slash down. He just stabs him in the neck and then kind of starts laughing. And
okay. Yeah, it was pretty gruesome in the anime. Like, he carved him up.
I mean, it was very gruesome in the manga too, but yeah, he was like hack and slashing Gojo. And yeah, no, that's not how that happened.
Yeah, and to bring everyone back to focus on this moment, it was after everybody enters the school and Gojo has been using his powers 100% for days, and he finally has the moment to release where he thought it was safe, and then he gets stabbed by Toji.
So kind of, but later on. So this is the part where you think Gojo dies.
Yeah.
And Toji is like hack and slashes Gojo at the very end. Like when it makes it look like Gojo is dead, but we all know that Gojo's still around, so he didn't actually die.
Right.
But it's the end of that fight.
With that stab you're talking about?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought you were talking about like as soon as they enter the school and then he's blindsided.
No, that still happens where he just kind of gets him in his stomach.
Yeah.
And at the end of the fight, he just gets him stabbed in the neck. And then he does like a bunch of extra stabs after and kind of like slashes him.
Okay, yep.
So instead, it's just the kind of like very gruesome stab in the neck. And then he kind of falls down and that's the end of it. The whole fight between them was super short. That's going to be a common theme between the manga and the anime is every fight is very much shorter. Pretty much every single fight in the manga is shorter than what it is in the anime. Some by a lot and some by just a little bit. The whole earthworm and middle school friend section of the episode, that's not in the manga at all. The earthworm movie.
Oh, the movie?
Yeah, that whole scenario doesn't happen.
Oh, no reference to him wanting to go see a movie?
No.
Okay, that's kind of funny.
Yeah, I was like, oh man, where is this? And I'm like, well, I guess this isn't happening. Okay.
Yeah, because that part was a little creepy. Just seeing after the earthworm human guy falls dead, and then like 100 of those little baby things come crawling on. Like, that's creepy as fuck.
Yeah, you almost think you're in a different show when you're watching that part.
It did feel that way.
And then you do see a panel of Gojo killing Geto. So kind of like a flashback, because you have to remember that up to this point, I don't believe Zero happened. The Zero manga.
Right, yeah. This flashback happens, and then Zero happens, and then season 1 happens.
Yeah. Well, so I'm saying as far as the manga is concerned, I don't think Zero, like the manga Zero / movie, I don't think that was out at the point in which the manga was serialized.
Oh, interesting.
So I think it was probably a thought, and it was probably in the process of, but I don't believe it was released at that point.
Okay.
So I want to say this is chapter probably like 80 something. So we're talking, I think this was, we'll say around the 80s or so. So just not it. So it's a good reference point to remember that, oh yeah, the movie Zero is good to know about, but you get all the information that you need without watching that or reading the manga. And then this is actually kind of something funny that is a artist addition to the end of a chapter, which he says that Nanami isn't wearing a watch because he forgot to draw it.
That's kind of funny.
So it's
he's calling himself out almost.
Yeah, he 100% called himself out. And then I do like the fact that the anime also didn't have him wearing a watch because he wasn't wearing it in the manga. So
yeah, follow along. Nice.
I don't know if you noticed this, but Megami's domain expansion is called Chimera Shadow Garden. I didn't remember it, so I just wrote it down.
No, good thing you did. I mean, it's not ringing a bell for me.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of stuff in this is going right over our heads because so much was going on, and we'll get to this in our later conversation. But yeah, okay, that's good to know.
And the weapon, they wrote what the name down was, but I completely forgot that Maki / Toji used against Dagon.
That
it's like the three
nunchuck thing.
Yeah, that's kind of. Yeah, it's the three pulled object. Mm-hmm. That has a name, but it actually doesn't use cursed energy.
Okay.
So it's basically just it is as strong as the individual that is using the weapon.
Okay. So it's not just a weapon, but it like copies the strength and...
Yeah, it copies the strength of the user.
Okay.
So that is why Toji is very much stronger than Maki when using it. And in the manga, that second girl that is talking to Sukuna, she actually asks Sukuna to free Geto.
Okay.
I want to say the first one asks to like kill Gato, and then I don't remember. I think Sukuna ends up killing her right away, and then the second girl just kind of doesn't say anything. So and in the manga, the first girl asks basically makes the request, and then the second one, as she's bowing, she's like, "I just want you to free Gato," and then they both die because one finger is not worth any requests to Sukuna. One thing that's kind of different. I'm kind of curious why they did it this way, but in the manga, Gato tells Jogo that he is approximately 8 or 9 fingers.
Yep.
I thought in the anime he said 10 fingers.
No, it was like 8.
Okay.
Yeah, I actually re-listened to that episode a day or two ago, and it caught my attention. I'm like, oh, that's interesting. I totally missed out on that, which is very interesting because we all know at this point, Sukuna has 15 fingers in him, and Jogo is sitting here at almost just above half.
Yes, and Jogo actually gives him 10.
Yep.
So that was that part. Okay, so easy miss. Jogo is about half of Sukuna, and as far as strength is concerned, I want to kind of point this out. The Jugo and Sukuna fight, when Sukuna basically says something, but you don't hear it, like you see his mouth move. Mm-hmm. Essentially, the same thing happens in the manga. You have a speech bubble, it's blacked out, and then he says open, and then his flame arrow happens, so you have no idea what he says. Okay,
yeah. I definitely caught that he said open.
Yep.
Because Jogo made a reference to like, oh, I thought you only knew like the hack and slash technique. And then when he pulled out that fire technique, he was confused. Yep. But that's when I thought that open is going to be a very interesting thing to keep in mind, because what else can open mean?
Yeah, exactly. So I'm very curious about that one. The Sukuna and Maharaga fight is 2 chapters. So we're talking 30 pages, 30-ish pages.
Was it pure action in the manga?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
It same concept, but 2 chapters.
Okay.
So very, very, very short. And you don't see Nanami living his daydream. So basically him walking through the sand and in the beach and that stuff.
Yeah. His retirement stuff.
Yeah. He's basically like, oh man, I need to go live on the beach. And then you just see him start hacking at the cursed spirits.
Okay.
Or the transfigured humans, whatever you want to call them.
Okay. I'm not too surprised by that, because that would be very, very odd to read in a manga, but like, seeing him slashing, seeing him on a beach, seeing him slashing, seeing him on a beach. I mean, they would have to state that very specifically, but I think I can see where that might get a little confusing in the moment.
You can like half panel it, so you could see him like kind of starting to spin, and then you see him like taking out a transfigured human. There's ways to make it so that it's very clearly him living in 2 spaces, but no, it's again elongating everything. Mm-hmm. Just another example of it. And then this is one thing I wish we would see, the Toto imagination moment, like that whole him with the K-pop singer, and him doing his like beating up Mojito in his imagination.
I know she made an appearance, but I don't think they went too deep with anything other than, oh wait, there was a moment where like they both did like this stance, but
so yeah, it's the pop girl, and it's after, so it's the group of scenes that happen after the locket opens up, and then you see imagination, and it's Toto and the girl, and they're doing it's a bunch of scenes. None of that happens in the manga.
Oh, it didn't happen in the manga.
Yeah, none of it happens in the manga.
Okay, I thouut you were going to say that in reverse. Like, no, it happened a little bit.
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay. I guess they're just pulling some callbacks to all of his intense imagination.
Yes. So it was, but that's it. That's all I got.
Okay. So nothing too crazy.
Nothing of significance, no. This is my favorite arc, and it's very clear you can see why. Oh, yeah. As far as what happened in this one.
Yeah, the first core was a little bit slower. When we watched this in real time, when it was first airing almost a year ago at this point, of course it was amazing. But then getting to core 2, where it was just pure action.
Yep.
It was just jaw-dropping amazing.
Yeah, the pacing was so intense.
Yeah, like, almost too intense. But to a point where you just couldn't take your eyes off, and you appreciated every second, and so much was going on.
Yeah, I remember when I was on the treadmill for like that flip between the kind of slow part and the action, and I was literally like trying to run without the treadmill running because I was like so into it at that point. I was like, oh shit, I'm not running right now. Let me take a step back because I very much got immersed in all the action.
Yep, totally understandable.
I'm really glad to watch it again because when you kind of binge watch it, you almost get a little bit more of that information that I feel like I missed out on the first time through when we were watching it weekly.
100% agree. And with that being said, I think it might be very helpful for us to tell the audience some things that might be very well overlooked. And I know that for sure when we talk about the Maharaga?
Yep.
The subjugation sequence that Fushiguro was trying to summon at the end, that big white monster with like 4 wings for eyes, and he was insanely strong. He was fighting Sukuna.
Yep.
One of the most intense battle scenes of season 2, core 2. And we were actually watching this episode, breaking it down before we even started this so that we can feel that we're confident enough to talk about this. So I think that this is a good moment for us to explain some things that some people might have missed out on.
Yeah, because when we were talking about it, you're like, wait, so how does this work again? And just, we know it's very easy to miss some things. We also watched the extended cut version that I think it came out in Japan only kind of thing. So we basically watched this fight like 4 times at this point.
Right. That plus it was available on the Blu-ray exclusive or something along those lines. That's one of the links I looked up. So yeah, the extended version was very nice to see. Nothing of significance to pull out of it other than you said one moment was in the manga that wasn't in the original cut, which is when Sukuna pulled out the fire arrow again.
Yep.
We didn't see that in the actual Crunchyroll version, but it's in the extended version. So I thought that was pretty cool. He brought it back after the Jogo fight.
Yeah, and I know would you say that's your favorite move? Would you say that like that's your favorite attack of the entire season?
The fire arrow?
Yeah, the fire arrow.
It was pretty sweet. It's hard to pull out something favorite out of this. I mean, other than just so much big bang stuff going on.
Yep.
Fire arrows, I mean, it was beautiful, it was simple, and it was just awesome. So maybe the simplicity kind of brings it into focus. So yeah, I like that. Okay.
Yeah, it is very awesome to see. And it's so easy to kind of like imitate. I think that's my thought process behind it. It's like, oh yeah, I can imagine myself doing something like that.
Oh yeah. And for anybody who's interested, we are currently in the midst of beginning a D&D podcast, and I'm writing a chapter, and I've taken some influence from that, so we'll see that in the future.
I'm looking forward to that. That's going to be fun.
Oh, yeah. But let's rewind a little bit. Let's start from the beginning of this whole fight scene. Okay. Maharaga, how does he get summoned, and what's the significance of him? Let's kind of just say some things about that.
Okay, yeah, let's really break down this subjugation of Maharaga. If I remember correctly, I could be wrong, he is going to be the 10th shadow. So basically, he's going to be the strongest one. I know the Gojo and Fushiguro talk about this, where the Six Eyes and Limitless from the past and the Shadow Zenin were basically in clashes with each other, and they were able to be on par with each other in part, I'm going to say, because of Maharaga. We find out that essentially whoever summons him, as long as the person that gets subjugated with them does not die, the summoner doesn't die. So they basically sit in a suspended state until either that second person or however many people die, or the individual that they summoned is subjugated. So, and if that happens, then the person who summoned them also does not die. So that's going to be something big, kind of important, that's very easy to kind of gloss over, because like, oh shit, Gojo is supposed to be the strongest person ever. It's like, oh, well, Fushiguro at least has the potential to be on par with the strongest Jujutsu sorcerer. And then something that I know you missed, Lance, is Sukuna doing something to Fushiguro. I believe he's using reverse curse techniques to kind of help Fushiguro survive. If you rewatch the episode, pay attention to basically your bottom left part of your screen, you see Sukuna having some
glowy hands.
Yeah, glowy hands, which I mean, he's not going to have glowy hands just to kind of stand there. So he's definitely doing something.
Right. So this is when Fushiguro is passed out against the wall right after the Maharaga is summoned. And he's just got his hands on Fushiguro. It lasts like a second long. It's easy to miss.
Yep.
But yeah, it looks like he's probably saving his life.
And if you remember, Fushiguro summoned Maharaga to attempt to kill the, I'm drawing a blank on what his name is, but the guy who has the
Miracle Lives. He had the sword that had a hand as a handle.
Yep.
And he had like these 3 scratch marks under his eyes, and he's just a crazy guy.
Yep.
So Fushiguro was trying to kill him with the subjugation, and Sukuna came in, saved that miracle guy, which in turn kept Maharaga alive.
Yep.
So because if Maharaga would have subjugated properly and killed the miracle guy, Fushiguro would have died as well. So saving miracle guy kept Maharaga alive, and now Sukuna is going to fight Maharaga in order to truly keep Fushiguro alive.
Correct. And then when it comes to Maharaga, unless you're really paying attention, so that wheel is essentially like the cycle of life kind of imbalance and rebalance of things. In essence, what happens is Maharaga can nullify whatever he learns, whatever he gets attacked by, and the wheel is the significance of him learning to basically be able to counteract that attack. If you remember from the fight with the inverse sorcerer who Fushiguro had talked about, where he said if he could nullify attacks, then he would basically be impossible. Well, that's kind of what Maharaga learns to do, is he can nullify attacks, which is what Sukuna talks about in the fight, and why he has to use cleave and, dismantle. Yeah, that's why he has to use cleave and dismantle to, at the same time, when he casts his domain expansion, because he was not sure if Maharaga had basically learned to nullify cleave, or if he learned to nullify slashes, because there's a difference in the two abilities, which they do talk about in the explanation of his domain, essentially. So that's going to be something super important as far as Maharaga is concerned, is basically he can learn to nullify attacks, and that's what that spin of his wheel on the back of his head
signified.
Yeah, it signifies.
Yeah. And then to bring a big reminder to everybody to put a period at the end, Maharaga dies because of the domain expansion. Sukuna is using both cleave and dismantle at the same exact time to completely overpower him, and then Maharaga just kind of explodes, and then that's the end of him.
Yep. Yeah, so he kills him faster than he can regenerate using cleave and dismantle, and then that's the end of it. Fushiguro survives, which the Sukuna talks about how he's really interested in Fushiguro at this point. Again, we already know that he was interested, but now he's even more interested because he can actually call forth Maharaga.
Yeah, so that's going to be very interesting to see in the future. Something that's kind of going to beg the question, are we going to see Maharaga again in the future? The argument could be said that if Maharaga died, is it impossible to bring him back? But the only thing I would bring back into focus is that there was a moment that Fushiguro said every shadow sorcerer begins with the 2 wolves. So there's multiple copies and stuff like that. So I'm wondering if it's the essence doesn't die, but the physical form in that moment dies. So I think he has the ability to just resummon them at a later time. I don't know. But then again, he made mention that like his 2 wolves died but formed together into one big wolf in season 1.
Yes, but I think that was his wolf versus just a shadow wolf.
Right. Okay. So maybe this might be his Maharaga.
But it's not. But because he didn't subjugate it, it's not his.
Okay. Good point.
It's basically like the essence of Maharaga is probably the best way to think about it. So if you can...
So because he was never captured with the Master Ball and it was never officially his, it still exists. Yeah,
it's like when you save before fighting Mewtwo and then you kill it and you just turn your power off and turn it back on. He's still there. Yeah, look, he's there again.
Okay, yeah. So I would like to see him again in the future, maybe in the final battles between... we can all assume the final fight of this entire series is going to be the defeat of Sukuna. And of course, we would like to see Itadori in this final fight, but Fushiguro is way too important for some reason. So I'd like to see Maharaga be tamed, or at least maybe some Digimon shit going on where Fushiguro and Maharaga fuse and become one, and then they just, I don't know, I'm getting too far, but I would like to see Maharaga again in the future, I guess.
Okay. Yeah, that would be interesting. I am not going to talk about anything as far as future things are concerned because I know exactly what's going on.
Yeah, you're a solid 100-some chapters ahead of everything.
For anybody that is interested, it is currently, as of the moment in which we're recording, at chapter 263. And yes, I've read chapter 263. So it is, I am very much on top of that one. I do want to talk about Sukuna specifically because the Maharaga fight also brings mention of a sword that he uses that would basically one-hit KO a curse user, which is super easy to remember that Sukuna is not a curse spirit. He is, in fact, or was, in fact, a human at one point. So he's from 1,000 years ago, and basically, if I'm reading this correctly, he was able to transform into a cursed object after death. And it doesn't really talk about how he has 4 arms and 20 fingers and all this other stuff. But I would also not look it up because that will spoil a bunch of things that happens in the future. So don't look him up. But he is essentially like Choso, who is human, but is able to basically get resurrected into a new body.
Chozo being the blood manipulator?
Blood manipulator, yep.
He's not...
Remember, he is a human and a spirit. He is both.
Oh, was he?
Yeah.
Okay, that'll make more sense on why those other 2 curse spirits in this series were considered his brothers, because why would a human be brothers with 2 other curse spirits? I thought it was just some more weird anime logic because Itadori is being thrown into this brotherhood. But if he's not originally a human, I guess that makes a lot more sense then.
Yeah.
Totally went over my head. So
yeah, so Choso is he's half human, half cursed spirit, and then I think they say he is like half something else as well.
Half man, half bear, half pig. It's man, bear, pig.
Yes, exactly. So his mother gave birth to a cursed spirit, which was Choso. And then remember, he was one of 3. And the significance on why he's super pissed off at Geto is because Geto got taken over by the guy who essentially made his mother give birth to a cursed spirit.
Okay.
So that's the significance of basically the individual that took over Geto, that's the same guy that basically made Choso who he is.
That brain?
Yep, that brain thing.
Okay. Who's definitely got a long life. Who can't wait to figure out more about.
Yes. Kenjaku. That's what his name is. So Kenjaku is the individual in which that takes over for Geto. He is an ancient curse user who existed over 1,000 years ago.
Okay.
And he can transplant his brain into others and control them. And then using his innate technique, he is able to then use the host's body's powers.
Right.
Very interesting. Yeah, it's a very, very convoluted. We'll put it that way.
Yeah, it's going to make me think that he's not going to stop with Geto. He's got higher goals than himself, such as Sukuna, or maybe even this infamous Tengen that we saw in the first couple episodes.
Well, he already took over for... Oh, yeah. Never mind. Don't worry about it. So it'll be very interesting to know more about that. But the important thing to remember is Sukuna is human. That's really all that matters at this point.
Yeah, and we'll find out about him more in the future, so no need to raise too many questions now. Yeah,
exactly.
Maybe now that we got the potentially most confusing part out of the way,
yes,
maybe get back into our general format and let's just jump right back into like favorite moments, favorite characters.
Okay. I kind of want to... Do we want to break, like, kind of... remind everybody of all the fights that happened, because there was a lot.
Yeah, there was a bunch of fights. Ones that keep coming to my mind, obviously are going to be kind of the ones that are going to be favorite is, since we just talked about them, the Chozo versus Itadori fight.
Yep, that's one.
The Jogo versus Sukuna fight.
Yep.
And we already broke down Maharaja and Sukuna fight.
Yep.
We had the Mekamaru fight.
Yep. versus Mahito.
Mahito, yeah. And then continuing with Mahito, we had him versus Yuji. I just called him Itadori earlier. I mean, it's whatever.
Yeah.
Itadori and Toji. Todo. The Yuji and Todo fight.
Would you consider that 2 fights or 1 fight?
When he's fighting Itadori?
Yeah, so the Mahito...
I suppose because Mahito and Itadori were fighting at the same time that Mahito and Kugisaki fight.
Yep.
So I guess you can really split those two because by the time Todo comes in, Mahito formed himself back into one, right?
Yeah. No.
Oh, there was that moment that Itadori like fucking gave him one huge hit, but I don't know. He has a way to like combine them. You know, I made a note in my notes that Mahito just reminds me of Kid Buu / Super Buu so much because of how much he can transform his body. So he leaves you with so much questions and like, how the fuck is he doing this? Because he can literally do like almost anything he wants to with his soul manipulation deal.
Yep, exactly.
So did that second half obliterate and took away half his power, or did he just like somehow just suck it up without us really knowing? Because he still has the power to manipulate when he touches stuff. And I don't know, like he made definite clear mentions that his current body is all fucked up because of Kusakagi's not subjugation. I wrote it down somewhere in my notes, but there's that nail explosion thing.
Yep.
That was really messing with his powers, and then the black flashes in combination with that was really messing with him. So they made mention that like he was working at like 40% power.
Yep.
Because I don't know, there's a lot of stuff you can throw into that, man. So that was a fight.
Yep.
If you want to go back into the flashbacks.
Yeah, the Plasma Star versus technically it was
just the Toji fights.
The
general.
Basically Toji versus everyone in the flashback.
Toji versus Dagon.
Yep, Toji. I guess the Dagon fight by itself. You had Nanami versus the
Miracle Guy.
The Miracle Guy. That was another fight. You had the end fight of basically everybody versus Gato.
Oh, yep. Definitely at the end.
Then you had Gojo versus the curse manipulators. Or the curse spirits. So Jogo and Hanami and the Zenin person.
Underground.
Choso. So, yep, Choso.
Right before he got captured.
Yep, before he gets captured.
Well, there was Fushiguro versus Fushiguro.
So you had Fushiguro, Itadori, and the curse user, who was the inverse guy.
Oh, yeah. And for everyone, the inverse guy was like this small, super muscular, oldish kind of looking guy. He had bulgy eyes.
Yep.
But he was the one that only weak attacks worked on him and strong attacks didn't. So he can fall from very tall buildings, smash to the ground because that was a strong attack falling. It did no damage to him. But like
the bunny, the bunny attack.
The bunnies, those attacking could hurt him. Itadori made a comment like, what if you flick him in the forehead? Could that kill him? But there was a certain limit. Like that was too weak. So it had to be something a little bit stronger than that. So like that was an interesting fight. I think that was a very mind-boggling concept to inverse it, but not to the absolute extremes of inverse. So I thought that was pretty interesting.
Yeah, that's one thing I really like is that there's so many options, but it's like, it doesn't just pick something like inverse and be like, yeah, a gust of wind he needs to protect himself by, but getting stomped by an elephant's okay. It's like, not quite.
Right, yeah. Let's range it in a little bit to make it actual sense, and you can actually survive everyday consequences. Yeah, I like that they brought that into focus.
Yeah, so you had Todo and Mahito and Yuji, but then you also had Yuji versus Mahito transformed.
Oh, okay, let's talk about that for a moment, because that blew my mind. Of course, we all know that Mahito can just change his body to like literally any shape. We've seen him fly, we've seen him turn into worms, we've seen him do everything. But when he turned into that
like super
transformed beast, like that's what shonen, like he had an actual transformation. Like what did they say, that like his soul had like a realization of some sorts, and like that's, I don't know, I don't remember the exact explanation, but that was a pretty badass transformation.
Yes, that was a very badass transformation.
And it came forth because of all the black flashes that were coming at him, something like that.
Yes, essentially he was able to perfect the soul due to the fact that the Black Flash is against him, and then him learning how to use Black Flash.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because he definitely used it himself.
So because of all of that, he was able to transform into his like Super Frieza form.
Yeah, this isn't even my final form.
I thought it was really cool to see. I did like the fact that Yuji was still able to like hurt him, because the whole purpose of the Black Flash was to affect his soul, not necessarily his body. So I like the fact that the attacks were still going to hurt him because of the intention of the attack. So, and I like did you notice, you watched Hunter x Hunter, right?
Almost all of it, but yeah.
So it was very much like Gon's super power up, basically rock, paper, scissors. It wasn't rock, paper, scissors, but
like when he went into the adult form?
Well, it was essentially the Chimera arc.
Yep. I didn't make it to that part though.
Okay.
I know. Like my problem with that was I was borrowing another friend's account, and I can't remember if it's when he stopped his payments or whatever then, so I had to stop, or I just got sidetracked and I started I think I was actually focused on other stuff too, because
okay,
I was watching all of it in Japanese, and I was like, I'll just watch it when it gets in English. And I just never went back to it. And then my friend stopped his account, so I never went back to Crunchy, and I went to Funimation, and it wasn't on Funimation, so I was never able to continue, and I never continued since.
Well, it's dubbed on Netflix.
So, now it's on Netflix too?
So apparently you need to stop your One Piece journey and finish Hunter x Hunter, because you only have like 30 episodes left.
Maybe. I mean, it's not like I'm far behind where I left off. I was definitely in the Chimera arc.
Yep. I mean, I would restart the Chimera arc, but yeah.
Yeah.
And yes, they have it all dubbed on Netflix. So it's it's rock, paper, scissors in English is what it really is. But it's his...
Shinjuku, whatever, I'm not going to try.
Yeah, I don't remember exactly what it is. But it's essentially the same pose where he's doing his hand underneath with his hand on top, trying to power up or getting ready to power up. Mm-hmm. And I liked the Easter egg kind of... you could almost call it a calling towards Hunter x Hunter, but just the pose looked very much like Gon.
Yeah, makes sense.
So I thought that was really cool. But like I said, I really liked that the essence of the attack still provided the same damage, even though Mahito transformed and his body was super rock hard and all this other stuff, where it's like, it made sense that even though Mahito got stronger, he still wasn't undefeatable, because... Again, Yuji is his one true weakness, essentially.
Right. Yeah, he made mention a couple of times that they were opposites, basically.
Yep.
And before Mahito completely came to his final moments, when Geto came to say, like, okay, I can save you.
Yep.
In that moment, I was like, I think Mahito is going to be one of the final bosses of this entire series, because this dude is just fucking unbeatable.
Yep.
And then Geto fucking eats him. I'm like, oh, okay, never mind. He's completely done. So Mahito was insane.
Yes.
And I feel like maybe the mangaka was like, I think his moment's done. I think it's time for us to finish him off before he gets too powerful. And I think that might have been a moment. He might have not obviously been thinking that in depth about it, but I thought Mahito could have had a much bigger future had he not been eaten at that moment.
So the reason why, so is it Mahito or Mahito? Or is it basically like a horse apiece?
I think we're saying it the same. We're just putting emphasis on different parts.
Okay. Anyway, he is serving his purpose by essentially being eaten so that Geto can do his innate transformation of all of the people, which is the 1,000+ people in the region of Japan.
Is that another way of saying that he absorbed Mahito's powers?
Yeah, so he absorbed Mahito's powers and was able to use Tengen's barrier to basically rework, they talk about this in the anime, rework everybody's brains, because essentially what they say is if you have cursed spirit, like, oh man, the one guy from season 1, Junpei, so basically, he can't be a Jujutsu sorcerer because his brain isn't essentially set up correctly to be a Jujutsu sorcerer. So yes, he has the ability to see spirits, but he can't actually use anything because of his brain, I guess. I'm not that smart. We'll just go with yes.
So he can sense it, but he can't use it. He's at the bottom of the totem.
Yes.
Okay.
And so people like Junpei had their brains basically modified so that they could use curse manipulation, curse spirit, whatever you want to say. And then the other individuals that Geto did was he had those people swallow cursed objects, which in turn turned them into Yuji, and they were vassals to be able to use curse spirit, curse manipulation, all this other stuff. So they had to get their brains reworked again to allow for them to be able to use this stuff immediately, kind of like Yuji, where he had to work at it in a sense. The brain manipulation is doing it in hyperdrive.
Okay. I'm glad you kind of brought this up because this was a topic I wanted to talk about.
Okay.
Yuji Itadori and his curse abilities.
Yes.
In season 1, I felt like they were trying to give the impression that he was just your normal everyday human.
Yes.
And then he ate the finger.
Yes.
And then that gave him powers.
Yes.
Kind of. At this moment, I'm kind of thinking like he always had something, but it was never realized. Because I'm only bringing this up because right now we're getting 2 different instances where someone thought that Yuji was his brother, Todo being the first, Chozo being the second. Yep. And like those were false memories that they've clearly stated. So now I'm wondering if that's part of Itadori's special powers, because everyone has their own unique powers. Like, I'm kind of thinking like this was part of him specifically, and eating the finger amplified it. And then under Gojo, he's able to control and bring out a little bit more. And now he's just a fully actualized sorcerer, and he's just getting better and better as time goes by.
So I'm going to talk in a manner in which I don't know the future. We'll put it this way.
Yeah, fair.
And Todo is just a special case where he can, as we know, make anything he imagines to be true. So that is why Yuji and Todo are brothers.
Right. And that's fair to say because he sees himself in a relationship with his pop star idol or whatever.
Yeah, exactly. Mm-hmm. So Todo is Yuji's brother because essentially he is the best friend and the person and the brother that Todo always wanted.
Right. And that's fair. That I completely took that face value in season 1. And then season 2 happened and made me start questioning things.
So Todo is just, we'll just say it. Todo is just Todo. Mm-hmm. As far as Choso is concerned, we don't know anything about why Choso believes / knows that Yuji is his brother. Mm-hmm. The reason why I can say knows it is his brother is because of Choso's ability where he knows anybody who he's blood related to when they die.
Right.
As far as what is going on, where that relationship is, we have no idea because in the beginning, when Choso first has his memories, they specifically say these are untrue memories. These aren't real.
Yep.
But why is he having this breakdown when he killed Yuji, but the fact that he's Sukuna's vessel, he didn't actually die.
Right, yeah. Sukuna would just pump his heart again, just get him back normal just like he did in season 1.
Yeah, so that's actually So because Sukuna took over his body by getting the fingers, that is what happened. But yeah, Yuji actually does die by Choso.
Okay, that's interesting you said that because I thought maybe he just knocked him out. Maybe I didn't quite put 2 and 2 together, but it makes sense that he actually died.
Which is why Choso basically has his conniption because he killed him. And it's like, how did he die? Or he died, and why do I care so much? Essentially is what's going on. It's like, because the reason why we know that Yuji died is because, as Choso said, he knows when his family members die.
Good point. Okay, I'm glad you said that. And now that's making me think that there's some more bloodlines that need to be crisscrossed somewhere.
So what they talk about is essentially all Jujutsu sorcerers are related in some manner.
Through the family lines like the Zenin clan?
Yeah, so that's why we know that Fushiguro is a Zenin, not because Toji said it, but because of like their abilities and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And Fushiguro and Gojo are related. Maki and Maki Fushiguro, I believe, are cousins.
Yeah, because Maki was considered Zenin, wasn't she?
Maki's a Zenin. She just
couldn't fully actualize her curse energies, or she has to resort to using cursed weapons, and because something like.
So Maki she is essentially Toji in today's time. So no spiritual pressure, can't see
Cursed
spirits, but Toji essentially made a binding vow or something along those lines that he makes it so that he can see them.
Okay, can we, I don't know how much further you want to talk about that stuff. You want to focus in on Toji real quick?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, because I'm still a little lost on this. Toji is human.
Yes.
Can't use curse techniques.
Yep. He's essentially a blessed child, is if you want to think of it that way.
Okay, so you're jumping ahead to what my question basically is how is he able to be so superhuman even though he can't use curse stuff?
Yeah, so he was blessed kind of like Maki was with strength and all this other stuff, but then he makes I want to say it's a binding vow. They don't go into what it is, I don't believe, unless I'm just not remembering. But he makes a binding vow to be able to essentially kill / fight cursed spirits, jujutsu, sorcerers, stuff like that.
Okay, but does this allow him to get like superhuman abilities? Like,
yeah.
There was that one scene where he ground pound the concrete, and then when he was finger blasting, when he was poking all of those little pebbles at all of
finger blasting the concrete, yes,
and finger blasting all the concrete pebbles into his son's rabbits in that place. Like he was going super super fast. Like of course that's superhuman, but he doesn't have curse energy to.
Yeah, no, this is all pure strength.
Okay, so he's just ungodly strong.
Yes.
He's
essentially
superhuman.
He's Superman, essentially.
Okay. We just boil this down to anime logic at this point because
anime logic within the context of the series.
Sure.
So he makes a binding vow which allows him to be even more superhuman because, like I said, him and Maki are essentially just the same person, but at different generations.
Right.
So Maki is very strong, but obviously not nearly as strong as Toji, which, I mean, she got burnt to a crisp. So that'll be interesting to see that because we never see her again.
Yeah, I was going to say, I'm running a clear blank on her right now.
So after the Dagon fight, Jogo comes in and was like, one, basically burns Two-Face's Nanami. And
that's okay. This so much happens. You blink and you miss 10 minutes of stuff.
Yep.
Yeah, because that's when Jogo comes in and just fucks the place up.
Yep.
Nonchalant, just burns everybody.
Yep. So he Two-Face's Nanami.
Yep.
And there's one. And then he comes in and basically is like, you're a piece of trash to Maki, burns her up. And then so that's two. And then has the very short fight with Grandpa Zenin, who...
The drunk guy?
Yeah, the drunk guy.
Okay.
That lasts, I think, like 45 seconds versus 5 seconds.
Yeah, I mean, he put up a little bit of a fight.
Yeah, he put up a very short fight, but basically then they go into, you can't change your projection, so if they can move faster than the 1/28th frames per second,
that's a very modern ability.
Yes, it was. And so because Jogo can move faster than that, the grandpa drunk Zenin got obliterated, and that was 3. And then he's like, I'm sorry, Dagon, we'll meet you again in the future or something along those lines.
Okay.
So yeah, it was maybe a minute long. Maybe. So yeah, she got burnt up. It'll be very interesting to see if she comes back because, I mean, people are saying that Kusakage is not dead. So who knows? Who knows what's going on with Maki?
Yeah, I like that they said that she's got a non-zero chance of being dead. Gives us just a little bit of hope. But then they also made that mention, like, that doesn't mean she's going to live.
Yes.
It just doesn't mean she's dead at the moment. Even though they said that her heart stopped, doesn't mean she's not dead. So
she very could possibly maybe be dead. And you're like, thanks.
It's a very Gojo thing of you to say. So with this topic at our front right now, I just want to say my prediction is I think she will live.
She as in who? Kusakage. Okay.
But only for long enough to get out one more conversation and then she'll die.
Okay.
I think she'll say her final words and then she'll peace out. I don't think she's going to live.
Okay.
And I don't think she's going to stay dead.
Okay.
I would like to see one more conversation come out of her.
Okay. I have no thoughts on the matter. We'll just put it that way.
No comment.
Yes.
Mr. 100 plus chapters ahead.
Yes.
No,
what about
that's
Maki? Do you think she's dead then?
I don't want to see Maki dead.
Okay.
Maki has so much promise in her, and she's the underdog. I don't want to see her dead.
Yep. Okay.
So I hope she stays alive. I don't remember her so much. I'll say time and time again, so much is going on. I don't remember seeing her that gave me the impression that she is done and out of the picture. So maybe I missed it, but I want to say no.
Okay. I'm cool with that. Since we're in the middle of our conversation, I kind of want to talk about the two most, I almost want to say most talked about, but it's the most internet talked about moments, which is the Nanami hair pull of the miracle guy, and then the Mei scene with her brother.
Oh, where she's like sharing a bath or something?
Well, it's a bed.
The bed. It was the bed. Okay.
It's
not that extreme to sharing a naked bed. But yeah, she's like, do you feel uncomfortable sharing a bed with me? And
he's like, no, it's great. So it's like, that's weird.
Yeah. They're brother and sister, aren't they?
That's what they say.
Yeah. Yeah, that's weird.
Yeah. I thought it was funny that the internet just kind of blew up on both of those things.
What was the first one?
The Nanami hair pulling of the miracle guy, where he pulls on his ponytail, and it's very 50 Shades of Grey picturesque looking.
So it was probably a cut scene where they took a snapshot of a certain angle and it looked provocative.
Yeah, basically he was hunched over, and the miracle guy had his mouth open and just staring up at Nanami's face. It looked very Dom sub-esque look.
Okay, I have not come across that one myself, but I can see where that can go wrong.
Yeah, I just laughed so hard at both those. I was like, oh man, okay, yep. Because it's really funny, because in the manga, they definitely don't do the hair pull thing.
Okay.
They definitely have the naked in bed with her brother moments.
Yeah, that's just awkward.
Yeah, that was weird. But then she also talks about how he almost killed her. So it's no.
Where he almost killed Meme?
Yeah, he almost killed Meme because of his ability, his cursed spirit.
Nullification or something like that. Because she brings him along so that he can cancel something out, because she was trapped inside that tombstone.
Yep.
And he needed the point of him being there was to be the scapegoat, whether he died or he nullified something properly, and then she can come back and
I want to say he can do simple domains.
Simple domain, that's what it was.
Yeah. So do you know what a simple domain is?
Oh, fuck. In the moment, it made perfect sense. But now that I'm thinking about it, something
basically,
do you have a good explanation?
It's a counteract to a domain expansion. So it's think of it almost like a bubble around a bubble within a domain expansion. Mm. So you are no longer subject to the one-hit KO effects of a domain expansion, but that's literally all you can do. So you can't use any more curse spirit, curse manipulations. You either get to do a simple domain and then use pure strength, or you get to use your cursed energy and hope that you have more than the person doing the domain expansion.
Okay, yeah. So it evens the playing ground.
In an instance, yeah.
Okay.
So that's what the old man Zenin was doing within Dagon's domain expansion, so that he wasn't getting one hit KO'd by the.
Oh yeah. He himself.
Yes.
He was protecting himself, not everybody else.
Yeah. So a simple domain is literally just a mini bubble around yourself.
Right.
So that's the easiest way to think about it.
Right.
So I remember talking to you about pay attention to episode 33, and they explain Yuta's abilities. Do you remember that?
Which one was Yuta?
Yuta is the guy that has Rika.
Oh, from Zero.
It's from Zero. Yep. So they talk about Yuta and what his ability is.
Ooh. What was Yuta's ability again? All I can remember is him having the crazy curse girl following him.
Yep. Rika,
thank you. Okay, I need you to explain this one all over again.
Okay, so they talk about Yuta's ability, and he has the ability to copy.
Copy, okay.
And without giving anything away, that's going to be very important. We'll just put it that way.
Interesting. Okay.
So his ability is going to be it's foreshadowing. We'll put it that way.
That can do a lot.
Yes, that tells you literally nothing but it tells you a bunch.
Oh my God, I want to I want to play with this for a second. So he has the ability to copy Gojo. He has maybe the ability to copy Sukuna, Geto. I want to say there's got to be something special about Itadori. Other than him just being the vessel for Sukuna, I want something special to be inside of him that's going to blow our minds later.
Okay. I will tell you they explain a lot about Yuji in the future.
Okay.
We'll put it that way.
Okay, that's good to know.
Because he seems very much like the secondary character within the series.
Yeah.
But that's more of a question. Like, is that kind of how he seems, where he's like, yeah, he's the focal point, but in all actuality, he's just kind of a cog in the machine within the entire series.
Pretty much. Like, he's supposed to be the main character, but like
there's nothing that
so
really gives main character vibes.
Right. The story is everything that's around the main character, not the main character himself.
Yes.
Which is a weird way to explain anything, but that's kind of how it is. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, he's the person in which the series happens to flow through the most. He's not the main, like, he doesn't seem like the main character, which in most series where it's like, all right, we get from point A to point B because the main character did this. And then that's how we get to C and D. Like, that's how we get to everything else. But within this series, it's like, he's just there.
Yeah.
Like,
that's kind of what I was just going to say too. He's there.
Yes.
I mean, everything's happening because he's there, but at the same time, he's also kind of just there.
The only...
Well, I guess he's only there because of Sukuna. Like, everything Geto's doing would be happening regardless.
Yeah, it would not matter. Sukuna being alive did not change the plan of Geto.
Mm-hmm.
It just was the vessel in which the other cursed spirits were... Basically, it was the reason why he could manipulate the other cursed spirits.
Mm-hmm.
But these series of events in a different order would have happened regardless of Sukuna being, or Yuji being Sukuna's vessel or not.
Right.
So it's very much he just kind of feels like a secondary character.
Right. It's odd to say, but yes.
And then it also has to do with the fact that everybody loves Gojo. Gojo is very much the Vegeta of Jujutsu Kaisen, where I can't say everybody, but he has more iconic things that happen than Goku. And then, I mean, there's Sukuna himself, which, I mean, he makes 140-meter radius around Japan to be nothing. Mm-hmm. So you get those moments. Mahito is just kind of this, I actually really like your calling him Boo. He's very much like Boo, where he's just kind of causing havoc and destruction everywhere he goes.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought it was very interesting just how that whole thing happened.
Yeah. One quick thing staying on Mahito that brought me back into focus of this memory. I was reading or listening to someone, I don't remember exactly what was going on, but I thought someone made a very good point that these cursed spirits that Geto brought forth are like Earth's natural forces to their extremes. We have Jogo, volcanoes.
Okay.
And the point was humans haven't conquered volcanoes, so that's why he's so powerful. And Mahito, I wasn't too convinced on because he's soul manipulation. I don't know how spiritually we want to get on that kind of stuff, but humans haven't done beyond that. This could be something, whatever. Skip over him. Hanami, the nature one, you can kind of overlook, like, humans haven't completely conquered nature. And then Dagon, the sea one, humans haven't completely conquered the sea, so that's why he's so powerful. And that's kind of all these special grades that were all under Geto. So I thought that was an interesting concept to think about.
Yeah, I would agree. It's a very good thought process.
All right, before we get any further, let's just take a quick break and give everybody a quick breather.
Hey Toasties, I'm Missy, here with my bestie Johnsy.
Hey y'all.
Do you like mind-blowing crime cases, spooky tales, and debating theories?
Well, what a coinky-dink, so do we. Grab your beverage and be a part of our Toasted Shenanigans on your favorite podcast app.
You can even send us a story or drink suggestion. Hit us up on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, or at toastedshenanigans.com.
And now that we're back from our break, let's get into the heart of our conversations. Lance, do you have a favorite character from season 2?
I wish I could say that Toto was my favorite character. As much as I love Toto, he didn't shine as much as a lot of other stuff did.
Yeah. He had like 4 episodes.
He had enough time in here, and he did his job. He was Toto 100%, and I appreciated that completely.
Yep.
But I kind of oddly want to give my favorite character to Jogo.
Okay.
Because he really shined in this core 2.
Yep.
And I'm really pulling that away from my favorite fight scene. And he's just so amazing and strong. He blew my mind. That was really it. He gave me this expectation that he was just this old man of a cursed spirit.
Yep.
And he really didn't do much. And I thought about it for a minute. And that's because the only other time we saw him fight was in season 1 versus Gojo.
Yeah, and he got completely obliterated within seconds.
Yeah, he didn't stand a chance.
Yep.
So because my expectations were low at that moment, and then we found out just how strong he actually was, he redeemed himself so insanely, and it made sense.
Okay.
And I really appreciated him for that. So I think I'm going to stick with Jogo for one of my favorite characters for the season. What about you?
Okay. Man, it's really fucked up for me to say I really like Sukuna in this one.
Oh my God. I mean, right there, like right with my favorite fight scene.
Yep.
Sukuna was just amazing.
Yeah, he was heartless, and it was awesome to see just his domain, like actually see his domain expansion, see all of his abilities. I'm just going to go with Sukuna.
Yeah, I mean, I would be right there with you. Sukuna was just too amazing to overlook in this one.
Yeah, then him just chopping the chick's head off.
Yeah,
and
give no fucks about anybody.
Zero. Lopping the top of the volcano off because Jogo didn't bow his head enough.
Mm-hmm. I thought that was so funny. Like, I don't remember the exact line being like, but he was on one knee for starters, and then he was just offended that he wasn't like bowing his head low enough.
Yep. And then when the 2 girls asked for a favor, and he's like, yeah, 1 finger isn't worth a favor. Just so cold-blooded.
Yeah. In hindsight, I thought about that too. Like, you're going to be a badass. You were given a finger, which is a 20th of your power. Technically, that means a lot. Without that finger, you're not as good as you are. But
he already had 5 times that power.
Right. But still, like, 1 is still kind of considered a lot in the grand scheme of things. But like, I can see where he'd be just that asshole to just that whatever, you're useless to me. Thanks for a boost in my power. Unlike Jogo, who gave him literally half his life.
So he was nice enough to allow for them to speak and him not do anything. Like, that's his thought process. Basically, I'm going to let you say stuff, but if you ask any favors, you're dead. That's basically what you can take away from that part of the conversation is you can praise me and say, welcome to be back. But that's it. Like, you're not getting nothing else from me.
Something I picked up on too, those 2 girls that gave him the finger.
Yep.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but are those the 2 girls that Gato saved back in that village where the village wanted these 2 girls dead?
Yep.
But he saved the girls and killed the entire village, and that's what started his killing streak of regular humans?
They don't specifically say it, but I would go with yes. Like that, it just makes the most sense that those 2 girls are the 2 that he saved.
Yeah, and which would make a lot of sense on why they'd be so...
obsessed.
That's a good word. I was going to say unconditionally loving Gato because they were saved by him first when the whole village was after them.
Yeah, that would make sense. I believe that those are the 2 girls. And then when Jogo basically was like, no, I don't want nothing from you. That was when Sukuna's demeanor changed a little bit in the sense that he's like, oh, okay, yeah, this guy's smart enough to realize that you don't ask favors for me. I allow for things to happen. That's when the fight happened versus if he would have been like, I want you to help us, I don't know, kill Gojo. He would have instantly just killed him.
Which makes me question, prior to seeing the 2 girls die before Jogo, do you think he would have been smart enough to be like, hey, I gave you 10 fingers, here's my request?
I want to say that Jogo was smart enough to learn from the situation, and he learned to not ask anything. I feel like he would have adapted to the situation. So I want to give Jogo the benefit of the doubt that he learned to not ask.
All right, so regardless of seeing the death of the girls before him.
No, I think he would have. So I think originally he was going to ask.
Oh, yeah, that's what I was getting at.
Yeah, okay, yeah, sorry.
Yeah, so if he didn't see the girls die because of requests, would he have straight up asked his request?
Yeah, I believe he would have asked that request. Only because I want to give Jogo the acknowledgement that he's kind of earned throughout the series, where he's adapted to everything. I believe that's the case. And then some other things. I love the Maharaja fight. I also, the fact that Sukuna basically knew what right before he was going to turn back into Yuji, and stopped right at the heart, or right at the moment in which Yuji could see all of the destruction. Like, just,
I thought that was a pretty emotional impact that Yuji could have had, waking up, coming conscious, seeing everything that his body did. Yeah, it's a little intense. Yeah,
it's just a complete mind fuck. So I really like that. And then...
sorry, let me cut you off real quick.
Yep.
I remember in season 1, there was a condition that they came to. And that wasn't something that us viewers know about.
Yep.
And again, at this moment, we still don't know what the condition is.
Yep.
But Sukuna came to, and that's because, like we explained earlier, that Yuji realistically died.
Yep.
I would still like to know what that condition that they made, that truce, that pact.
It's a pact, yeah.
Yeah, that they made in season 1. I want that flushed out, point blank. I want to know exactly what was said, and we still don't know what that is quite yet.
Yeah, we still don't know anything about that, and I don't remember if they ever talk about it.
Okay, so maybe in 100 chapters we still don't know exactly what's being promised.
Yeah, I'm not 100% sure. I would need to reread the beginning when they talk about it specifically to remember verbatim what happened. But Sukuna is my favorite for season 2. Did you have a second favorite for season 2, or was it Sukuna?
Sukuna, yeah, he's right there for number 2.
Okay.
I would love to say Gojo.
Yep.
We saw him in Core 1, really.
Yep.
I really appreciated us seeing how he made blue and red come together to make purple. Because we saw in season 1, purple
is his essentially finishing move.
Is his super big bang attack, and we got to see the origin of all that stuff come together. I love seeing that. Like, we got the explanation that he basically died and did. So one of my notes says that amplified blue plus reversal red equals hollow purple, the imaginary technique with imaginary mass.
Yep.
So I like that we got that explanation of, like, his powers, where we learned that he's basically unstoppable because, like a magnet, one's working with the other one to keep him in an invincible state at, like, all times, basically, after he revived himself through reversal technique or something along those lines.
So he was able to heal himself using reverse curse technique, which is the same thing that Sukuna does to Fushiguro.
Yep.
And they had mentioned it previously, where Gojo couldn't really understand / figure out how it worked. And I believe they talked about it, but I know they talked about it in the manga, where he was essentially on his deathbed, and because he was on his deathbed, he was able to figure out how to use reverse curse technique. Right. Basically, it was just his survival instinct that allowed him to figure it out.
Yeah, and then after that moment, he basically became unstoppable.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, so there was that part. I do have a question. What was your favorite fight?
Oh, like I was saying with Jogo.
Okay.
It was Volcano versus Sukuna.
Okay. It
was the first big impact of the Core 2 that really came to me.
Okay.
I really loved seeing all of that explosive stuff.
Okay.
Seeing Sukuna toy with him the entire time, basically. And at the same time, Jogo's fighting for his life. Essentially, all he needed to do is land one single punch. Still couldn't do it. I was just really involved with that whole fight scene.
Yeah, I completely understand that one. I would say, oh man, I really loved the Toji and Gojo fight, but it's definitely the Maharaja and Sukuna fight.
Yeah, especially after not rewatching, but watching that additional scene.
Yep.
It had just added to it, made it that much more special.
Yeah, that one was definitely the most impactful. I think the Toji and Gojo fight, the ending was just kind of anticlimactic. Like, it was awesome to see Gojo learning purple or violet, whatever you want to call it. But
Purple was anime, but I think you said in season 1 the manga called
Called
Manga
it Violet.
Violet. Mm.
So it was just kind of like, I figured this out and now he's dead. And you're just like, okay, yep, that one. And that just happened.
Mm-hmm.
I think.
And it's a little anticlimactic knowing that he survives.
Yeah, I think that was another part of the just kind of letdown is the wrong descriptive word, but it wasn't as impactful because we know what happened in the future.
Right.
The other, I would say for number 2, for me, it was the Dagon versus Toji fight.
Yeah. Dagon just getting his ass handed to him.
Just absolutely getting wrecked after Dagon made everybody look like they were just newborns.
Mm-hmm.
So it was just an awesome fight to see because you got to see how strong he was. And then you got to see how strong Toji was.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was just insane. I feel like one more thing about Toji that we should share with everybody, just in case they missed it for whatever reason. When Toji fought his son, Fushiguro.
Yep.
And then Toji asked, when he finally started recognizing who he might be, he's like, hey, what's your name? And he said Fushiguro. And then Toji had a realization that maybe in a little bit of a pride, it was absolute pride. He's like, okay, you didn't give up our last name and gave in to the Zenin clan, so I'm happy. And his eyes went from black to normal human white, and then he stabbed himself in the head. So just in case anybody missed that moment.
Yeah, I thought that was a real heartfelt moment because you could see Toji, in essence, was doing things not for himself, which went against essentially his core values.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he was just happy, maybe a bit of a stretch, but happy to see that the Fushiguro name would go further. But other than that, just his son was just the badass that he wanted his son to be.
I think it had more to do with the fact that he went against the Zenin clan versus for Fushiguro. Because remember,
I like that.
Fushiguro is the mom's name.
Yep.
And Toji is a Zenin.
Oh, was he a Zenin?
Yeah, he was a Zenin.
I don't know why I thought that he was just selling his kid off to the Zenin, who I thought was just a whole separate group, just to make some cash.
Yeah. So Toji...
Oh, you know what? You're right. I remember him specifically saying he took his wife's name.
Yep.
Yeah.
But basically, he was a bastard child because, like Maki, he didn't have spiritual or jujutsu powers.
Right.
Of all of the powers that we saw, did you have a favorite one? Do you have a favorite ability that we saw in this one?
Right now, the one that's coming to my mind is back to Chozo and his blood manipulation.
Okay, I'm not surprised you picked that one.
Yeah, it is just really cool. Just the fact that he could beam it out like a Kamehameha, basically, and he can control it. That was really cool.
Yep.
But not only is it a long range attack, he was also using it as like a defensive ability. When he was fighting Yuji in that bathroom with the water coming down, he was able to harden his body and use it like a shield, like a armor. So I thought that was really cool too. So I think that he's universal in the fighting arena. So Chozo's definitely someone to keep an eye on. So I like that ability.
Yeah, if Chozo was a more experienced like hand-to-hand fighter, I feel like he'd be almost OP because he could fight people from long range. He could also fight people close up and it not really affect him too much. So his abilities seem very, very OP.
Definitely. Did you have a favorite ability?
I really want to say one of my favorite ones was like the Sukuna arrow, the fire arrow.
Oh yeah, that's just, like I said, the simplicity is just so awesome.
Yeah, like you said, it was so visually captivating in that moment because you're like, there was just, everything was really dark and then you had just this bright flame of an arrow, and I thought it was really, that was probably the one that sticks out the most. Besides, purple was really cool because I think it had to do with just the crazy gojo that was happening at the same time, where it stood out so hard.
I wish we saw more of Toge, the salmon guy.
Oh yeah,
the
salmon.
one who can make speeches or make whatever he says absolute.
Yep.
Because I think he is insanely overpowered. Of course, we know through the Zero movie and stuff like that, like depending on what he says, can pull out more of his power. And I wonder if he says something strong enough to a strong enough guy that his power is not able to overpower his power with a simple word, and that wouldn't be able to make, like, he just die. Like if he tells Sukuna die, I wonder if it would just reflect back on him because he's not strong enough to overpower him or something.
Yeah, I could see that happening. I also think that he's not dumb enough to tell like Sukuna to die.
Mm-hmm.
But I know exactly what you're saying, where it's like he's good enough to know what his limit is, which is kind of boring in the sense that like he's not gonna be stupid enough to tell somebody to die that he knows isn't gonna die. Especially because in the Zero movie, he basically got rebounded on that one cursed spirit.
At that school zone or something like that, like he had to use different words to like.
Yeah, I think it was the mall. I think it was in the
mall.
mall.
Yeah. Sorry, it's been a minute.
Yeah, seriously.
But yeah, so I think Toge is insanely powerful. I guess what I'm trying to say is I can't wait to see more out of him. I want to see him get more relevant and stronger.
Yeah, well, he did get fucked up by Sukuna.
Oh shit, I'm kind of blanking on that one at the moment.
So if you remember at the very end, they're talking about the repercussions that are going to happen to the principal Yuji. They basically said that Gojo was an accomplice to Geto, and then that Yuto is going to kill Itadori because he hurts / Sukuna chops off his arm. Not Yuta's arm, but Toge's arm. Yep. He chops off Toge's arm. Or part of Toge's arm.
Yeah, totally forgot about Toge losing his arm.
Yep. It's very, very quick to miss. So
yeah, so pretty much everybody takes quite the beating in this one. We lose a lot of lives.
We did.
Everybody is injured in some way or fashion. Maki's burnt to a crisp. Toge's missing an arm. I don't remember much happening to Panda. I think Panda's still doing okay.
He did lose one of his cores.
He did lose another core? Okay.
Yep, that's why he was gorilla.
Mm-hmm.
Kusakage's maybe sort of kind of probably dead. Fushiguro pretty much died.
Kugasaki, you mean?
Yeah, Kugasake is maybe sort of kind of probably dead. And then obviously Gojo is trapped. Yuji had like part of his face ripped open. You noticed that, right? Like you could see part of his teeth at one point.
Like his cheek was open. You can see his teeth through his cheek. Yeah, I thought that was pretty crazy.
Toto lost part of an arm.
Yeah, Toto lost his hand.
Yep. And Boogie Woogie is dead, unfortunately.
Mm-hmm.
Nanami died.
Mm-hmm.
Tukuma, which is the basically he's the guy who wore the mask on his face. He almost died. He's the one that almost died to Toji when he first got resurrected. Basically he was the guy that was like, oh, I'm gonna be a first grade curse user or a second grade curse user for a while because of yada yada yada, personal pride. That's basically what it came down to when he was talking to Nanami.
What was his name?
He's the guy who wore the mask and he did the he skated around on water. He was the one that fought on top of the skyscraper. Yeah.
Oh, with the granny and the grandson?
Yep.
Okay. Yeah, I don't remember him being relevant in the first season.
He was not.
Okay.
He was only brought. You know what? I think he was talked about, or he was in the first season, but it was very short, like super, super short.
Okay.
And then you had the Zenin guy die, the grandfather get burnt to a crisp.
The camera 28 frames in a second kind of thing.
Yep. The frame per second dude. You obviously have the cursed spirits, so you've got Hanami that gets his fucking buds ripped out of his face, so then dies.
Mm-hmm.
Dagen gets obliterated. Jogo gets burnt to a crisp, which is always funny. And then, of course, you had the Plasma Star Vessel who got shot in the head.
Yeah, but they made it. I like that they almost to a degree where it was almost like not even worth showing in the anime because like the next episode they mentioned that there was another star vessel that could take the position of the star vessel.
Yeah, basically it's a never-ending cycle. So if one dies, the next one's there to take its place. So it's you had Shigamo. That is the miracle dude.
Oh, okay.
He gets fucking chopped in half by Sukuna.
Yeah, so he's no longer relevant. He was a whatever character to begin with. He was kind of just a crazy guy.
He was a very easily hated person.
Yeah.
And he finally got its due justice. And then the Ogamai, who is the granny, who you saw a fucked up backstory of her where she transmutes into that girl, which is just a weird...
the daughter of that dude that sat on
the rich dude, sat
on the dad's lap, and yeah, that was creepy.
Yeah, that was really weird. That was definitely just super weird.
Yeah, and the dad accepted that kind of love towards his daughter. It was well worth him dying. I don't know.
No, it wasn't. It was more of like the old school gangster-esque kind of moments, you could put it that way.
Yeah, we'll go with that.
Mekamaru gets fucking obliterated.
Mm-hmm.
There was so many people that died in this one. You couldn't like anybody.
Yeah, they pulled Attack on Titan. Just everybody's dying.
Seriously. And then Game of Thrones.
That too, yeah. Don't fall in love with anybody because everybody's just gonna die.
Ichichi, which is the guy in the suit who does the veils.
Yep. I was surprised to see him die because he was.
So he didn't die.
He didn't?
No, he's not dead.
Okay.
He gets stabbed by the miracle dude.
Right.
But because he was at once learning to be a jujutsu sorcerer, he was basically able to keep himself alive.
Interesting. Okay.
Which is why Nanami's carrying him.
Oh.
And then brings him to the people who are healing people. And that is why he essentially doesn't die.
Okay.
So Nanami very much calls it out that he's not dead.
Okay. Overlook that one.
Yeah, it's super easy. And he's a super side character, so it doesn't matter.
Right.
So yeah, there was so much death that happened in this episode. On top of all of the civilians that just got obliterated by Sukuna.
It was funny just seeing just mass amounts of civilians just dying out of nowhere. Saw people getting transformed by Mahito left and right. Saw people on top of buildings falling off of them. Just nobody in Shibuya.
Or even
basically.
over Shibuya, because the airplane gets fucking hack and slashed and then burned. And so nobody's safe.
No.
So yeah, it was so intense. I would say, even though the beginning was kind of slow, like from start to finish, this entire season was intense.
Oh, yeah.
And not in the manner like kind of where we complained about Bleach being super intense and it was super easy to forget some stuff. Like this one had it. They did such a good job of making it where you could watch it like one episode a day or one episode a week, or you could binge this and everything ebbed and flowed super well.
Mm-hmm.
So I absolutely love this one. I would highly recommend anybody to read the manga and just read this season and start their way through. Read the Culling Game arc, which is the next one, because this one was a lot of fun. I really loved this arc, and it's kind of what really drew me into the entire series.
Which is kind of strange to say because this is almost 100 chapters in, and this is when it really explodes.
Well, it starts off on 65. So
okay, yeah, good point. Okay, that's a big difference between
100.
100.
And most of the chapters are 18-ish pages, so it's not like we're talking 40 pages per.
Yeah, those are quick chapters.
Yeah, it's very quick.
Easy to stay intrigued.
So there's one more thing I specifically want to talk about, and that is at the very end, the Fushiguro that we see at the very end. Do you remember who she was?
Oh, no.
So that is Fushiguro. That's Megumi's sister.
Oh, okay.
So that the importance of is we finally figure out why she basically why she went into her coma. And that is because she got fed a cursed object.
Oh, okay.
And
yeah, overlooked that one.
And so she got fed a cursed object. She is now waking up, and now we're leading into the next arc, which is the Culling Game arc. Okay. And yeah, it'll be also intense. We'll put it that way.
Okay. That's good to know. Can't stop here. Things are at such a high note. It'd be weird to just come to a really slow crawl only to build back up again. But of course, we could hit or miss. It could always be that way for a moment. Either way, what I would like to see is how Gojo's going to get out of this cube.
Okay.
And how Shibuya is going to recover from any of this.
If it recovers from it.
If it recovers. Gato is still the survivor that's out there.
Yep.
What's gonna happen with him? And just what's going to happen next.
Yeah, that's important. So you want to know what happens with Gato.
Mm-hmm.
You want to know how / if Gojo survives or gets released from the basically prison.
Yep.
Okay.
And after that, I really don't know what else to expect. I mean, there was so much chaos going on, just kind of at a blank after that.
Do you think there's going to be infighting with Yuta trying to kill Yuji, or do you think he's going to prioritize saving like Gojo over trying to kill Yuji, or do you think he's going to do it like all together?
That's a good question. My first impulse is going to be after he made the comment that he's going to be the one that's going to execute Yuji.
Okay.
I think that might be the first thing he's going to do as soon as he comes in contact with them.
Okay. Interesting. Okay.
That's about it. Otherwise, maybe he's going to fall under the school's rules and like let him live until he's got his 20 fingers and then kill him and Sukuna at the same time.
So remember, the school basically is like, nope, fuck it. We got to kill him. Because remember, they say the killing of, or basically the suspension of the execution of Yuji Itadori has been revoked. The principal, I believe, is found basically harboring a fugitive and is sentenced to, I want to say, execution as well. Gojo has been deemed a accomplice to Geto, and so anybody who attempts to free Geto will also be considered a fugitive. And then Geto is, well, his execution has been reinstated because he's not dead, quote unquote.
Right.
So that was the 4 pieces of information that were announced by the people behind glass.
Right. And that was all in the text at the end. Like that wasn't read to you. You had to read it yourself.
Yep.
Right. So that's why I'm running a small blank on it. So I was trying to listen to it again.
And it was very quick. Like you had to pause, read, and continue.
Yeah, there's a lot of information. Yep. But that's all ringing the bell right now.
Okay. Yep.
Yeah. Chaos everywhere. Nobody's safe.
Seriously, it's Game of Thrones. That's probably the best way to put it.
Yeah. Yeah. So I can't wait to see what the fuck happens next.
I am looking forward to it. They don't have season 3 launch date announced, I believe, so we still gotta wait.
Yeah, I have not seen anything of the sorts. So yeah, it's just a waiting game until then.
But that is all we have for Jujutsu Kaisen season 2. Absolutely loved it. Highly recommend it. It definitely lived up to season 1 expectations. What do you think?
Insanely so. Yeah, a lot of anime kind of takes a dip in season 2. This one went above and beyond.
Yeah, this was almost, I would say this was probably better than season 1.
Oh yeah. Season 1 brought you in, and if it kept you there.
Yep.
This is definitely amongst top 5 of my favorite anime.
Absolutely. I can completely agree as far as season 2 is concerned. So I absolutely love it. But before we get going, I know, Lance, you've got some Pokemon quizzes and you're going to stump me because apparently I remember nothing from Pokemon when we were children.
Yep. So we're going to jump into Generation 2 a little bit. We've been doing a lot of Generation 1 these past couple episodes, so I thought I'd shake it up a little bit. Don't worry, it's not going to be too difficult.
Well, I still played Gen 2, so I can, we're good on that one. Once we get to like past Gen 3, I'm pretty much useless, so.
Understandable. So this will be the first take on Gen 2 stuff. All right. So in Gen 2, who is the professor that gives you your starter?
Oh.
And I'll give you an A, B, and C.
Okay, thank you.
We'll go oak, birch, or elm.
Elm.
Elm is correct.
Oh, look at that. I remembered one.
Professor Elm is Generation 2's professor. All right.
Yeah, I knew it wasn't oak because we do meet oak. Yeah. Because I remember the old school Pokemon games where you went to, was it Kanto? Was that season, or was that number 2?
Gen 1 was Kanto.
Oh, okay. So was it what was the second region? Johto.
Johto, yeah.
Johto. Yeah, so I remember after you beat the Johto region, you got the Kanto region with Professor Oak. So I knew it wasn't Professor Oak, and I was like, I'm pretty sure not Birch, so.
Yeah, I think Birch might be Generation 3.
Yeah, maybe.
Might have to look into that again. It's been a minute. Okay, so congratulations. Get the first one right. All right, now the second one might be a little bit of a curveball.
Oh, man.
Between Ho-Oh and Lugia, who has the higher special attack stat?
Oh, man. I'm going to go strictly off of the game, which is probably wrong, but I'm going to go with Lugia.
That would be false.
Oh, no.
I also thought that Lugia might be the higher special attack stat. I thought Aeroblast might be the stronger of the special techniques, but it's actually Ho-Oh. Ho-Oh has a 110 special attack.
Okay.
And Lugia has a 90 special attack.
Gross. That's a huge difference.
Yeah. And want to know something crazier? For them being elementals like that, their normal attack stats, or at least Ho-Oh's normal attack stat, is even higher. Ho-Oh has a special attack of 110, but a normal attack of 130. And then Lugia is 90 and 90. So technically, Ho-Oh is way stronger.
Well, not in the game. We'll just put it that way. But I don't think it has Arrow Blast in Gen 2.
Yeah.
Oh,
In Silver,
yep.
Lugia has Aeroblast.
Oh, okay.
In Gold, you catch Lugia at 70,
Yep.
and it doesn't contain it. And I think also in Crystal, it does not have Aeroblast because you get them both later. So it completely overlooks Lugia's special attack.
Okay. Yep. That makes sense. And then, I'll say, but the type for Lugia also makes no sense.
Yeah, flying psychic.
Yeah.
And it lives in the sea.
It's essentially the king of the sea or the creator of the sea, something along those lines.
King sounds about right.
And it is neither of the. It's not.
Nothing to do with a water type.
And it can actually learn water.
It can learn. I'm pretty sure it can learn Hydro Pump.
Yep, it can learn Hydro
And
Pump.
you can teach it Surf, obviously.
Yep.
But it's not a water type.
Yeah, it makes no sense.
Mm-hmm. The psychic part throws you off a lot. All right, so that one was wrong. And number 3 and question 3: what level does Mareep evolve at?
Oh, gross. Oh man, it evolves at, we'll say 18.
That's a fair guess, but it's actually 15.
Okay. Well,
yeah, I completely forgot about that myself.
Well, I was gonna guess 18 or 16, so either from a rock.
Yeah, it was an oddball. Mareep evolves into Flaffy at 15.
And I liked Mareep too, so that was definitely.
It was basically the only Thunder type you can get in that game.
Yeah.
Aside from like Pichu, maybe a little early on if you're lucky enough to hatch it from that first egg in Goldenrod.
Yep.
Other than that, Mareep was basically your first and only choice for a decent Thunder type.
Well, you had decent, yeah, because you had like Minin and like Pulse or whatever it was.
That was Gen 3.
Oh, that was Gen 3. Oh, yeah, that was Gen 3. Okay, yeah. So, yeah, but I just looked it up. But as far as the Johto region, there was only 100 Pokemon.
Oh, yeah, that sounds about right.
So it's not like you had many options to begin with, in all actuality.
Yeah. So overall, I'd say you did decent. I gave you 2 relatively hard questions, and like I was saying with my second question between Ho and Lugia, at first blush, I did think Lugia was stronger.
Yep.
And that's just because I think Lugia is cooler.
Lugia is cooler.
Yeah, Lugia is probably one of my top 3 to 4 favorite Pokemon. So, understandable.
Which is crazy because I remember getting gold over silver.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I was lucky enough to get both of them for Christmas.
Okay.
And I first played silver.
Okay.
Because I just thought Lugia would look cooler.
Lugia did look cooler. But I'm trying to remember. I remember there was certain Pokemon in gold that you could get, and that was my decision.
Oh, yeah?
I don't remember which one it was, but I remember there were certain ones you could get.
Yeah, I would need a solid minute to sit down and think about who the exclusives were, but that's a fair point.
That was the reason why. I remember that was the reason why I had picked gold over silver. And then it was fun. Those were fun. I do miss the going back and being able to catch the next or the previous gen's Pokemon as well. Mm-hmm. It just made it more, to me, it made it more entertaining.
Oh, definitely.
I was also like, oh man.
We were still elementary school at that point.
As I say, 10, 11, 12, somewhere in that range.
I'm pretty sure we were about 4th or 5th grade when Gold and Silver came out. So I remember for Christmas, I got a yellow Game Boy, and I thought yellow was a lame color. And then there was some kid at school who had a Game Boy Advance.
Yep.
And he wanted to be my friend so bad that I offered him like, hey, I'll give you my Game Boy Color if you give me your Game Boy Advance. And he agreed to the trade. I'm like, okay. So I remember that in elementary school. So yeah, it definitely came out in elementary school.
So I actually won my Game Boy Color, and it was like the purple see-through one.
Yep.
And I had won it in like, do you remember KB Toys?
I don't think so.
It was like the mall. They were in the mall, and it was like the game place in the mall.
Interesting. Okay.
And they had a raffle thing where you put your name in, and I just happened to win. I won a bunch of Pokemon packs.
Wow.
I won Yellow, and I won the Game Boy.
Nice.
And no idea where that Game Boy is or where Yellow is, to be completely honest.
Yeah.
I remember winning like, I think it was like an entire box or 2 boxes worth of Pokemon cards.
That's it. And back then, as a kid,
Yep.
that's the world. That would have
It
been amazing.
absolutely was the world. It was so, it's like the only time I've ever won anything.
Yep, that's quite a time to win something too. That's
Right?
awesome.
No idea where any of those Pokemon cards are, but you know, it's I do remember winning the Game Boy. So yeah, it was that was fun. Thank you for that. I am still batting 33%. Good thing I'm not going to college for this.
It's all fair. And that's going to conclude today's episode. Thank you, everybody, for listening to us talk about Jujutsu Kaisen Season 2. Please make sure to follow us on YouTube as well, where we cover our Short Flight series and also post our episodes there. Please follow the Anime Show on Facebook and Instagram. Stay up to date on everything anime related because they post a lot of amazing news every single day. And we will catch you guys next time.